Oof.
What's up, guys? Teddy Cornwell here. Welcome to the Underdog Talk. Something about the Underdog. I mean, today we have just an absolute beast on this show. I mean, as you guys can see, I'm nicknaming him the Mini Hulk. But before we get into this interview, I have to give this man a proper Underdog Talk introduction. A man who once said, I'm just out here trying to live my best damn life. Leave me alone, Karen. A man who recently just placed first in his division at the Jim Morrison Classic. A top-tier bodybuilding and powerlifting coach. And finally, a man who does not sugarcoat shit. The owner of Acne Attack Skincare. A Gorilamind athlete, Mr. Mark Mini Hulk Plummer. What is up, Mark?
Bro, thank you for that beautiful introduction. No, life is good. I mean, we just take everything one day at a time and we'll see what happens and then set little goals. And like you kind of said, like you kind of just put your foot in everything, dedicate a couple months to it, then it works out. Or it doesn't work out, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm never doing that again.
And I mean, Mark, speaking of little things and going day by day, before we start this interview, when the fuck did you decide to compete in the October's national show? Is that something that you just were like, I'm doing this? Is that new?
Yeah, no, it's like I kind of like I told the YouTube channel, it's like during the last prep, my mom got cancer, my dad had two strokes, they took his license away. So then I was like driving him around like 4 or 5 times a week, and then my mom was going through all that. I like wasn't losing weight, like was losing weight, and then if I lost weight, I would gain it back, and like the whole prep was just like I just randomly decided to do the Jim Morrison show. I'm like, I wonder if I still have what it takes to do it. And then halfway through the show, I'm like, you know what? I'm never competing again. I'm done. And then closer to when I competed, I'm like, okay, if I win, then I'll do nationals.
Ooh.
And I was gonna do the Toronto Pro qualifier, which was June 4, which was like 7 weeks after. But then, like, long story short, is like the last 3 weeks of prep just absolutely like destroyed my mental health. Like anyone that competes knows that, like, yeah, competing is something else. And then we went to LA for 2 weeks, and I kind of just went crazy. Like gained the whole post show rebound, and then I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to spend a little bit more time focusing like on myself, on my businesses. My dad should be getting his license back like next week. My mom's officially cancer free. So I'm just like, you know what? If there was ever a time to like, and I told myself if I win, I would do the pro qualifiers, and I'm not going to make myself a liar. So I'm like, you know what? Like everything kind of worked out to do nationals.
Wow, I mean, everything did work out because you won. And Mark, I'm so glad that your parents are doing well. I'm so glad that your mother beat cancer and your dad has
Thank you.
that opportunity to get his license back. So I'm so happy to hear
Yeah.
that. That's
No,
amazing
thanks,
news.
man.
Because hardships are the worst, but when you get a bright light and a shining kind of thing at the end of the tunnel, shining light at the end of the tunnel, I mean, it's amazing, and it seems like it is the time. Everything's lining up for you to go in October and just kill it again, Mark. So
Exactly. You'll see in my next YouTube video. I said the bold statement that I'm gonna win. The same thing as I said in the Jim Morrison Classic 16 weeks out. I made a YouTube video and I'm like, I'm gonna win the Jim Morrison Classic. And
and
everyone was like, bro, you're out of your mind. Like, what are you talking about? Just hate after hate after hate. And then I won. So now that I have like the time to do a proper like mini off season and then come into that show like at 100%. Like I would say the last show was like 85 to 90% of my best. So if I can nail 100%, I don't think I'll go pro, nor do I have the ambitions to go pro. I'm not one of those people. We use the road to pro title in YouTube because it's like high search engine optimization. You know, people love the fucking title, but like, no, I'm not gonna get a pro card. But I will win my class. That's what I'm putting out there.
you know, I don't think it's a bold statement anymore, Mark. I think it's gonna happen. I mean, fuck what others think. fuck what other think. That
Exactly.
is the biggest thing. I'm learning to do it myself because so long I cared about what others think. And I'm learning that I do me and I think I do what I do correct. Fuck what others think. Mark, this is your time to shine. I'm so happy for you, brother, because everything is lining up. Now, Mark,
Thank you.
I want to talk about the beginning of it all, tongue twister.
Yeah.
The reason I called you Mini Hulk is because at age 16, you were deadlifting 602 pounds. This is
Hmm.
maybe triple or quadruple what I can deadlift now, but the transformation over the years was remarkable to see, obviously. So, why did you start lifting at such a young age? And more importantly, why were you so serious at such a young age? Because people at 16 are just going to the gym, maybe doing one set, one exercise and having a protein shake. No, you were putting up big fucking weight. So why did you start and why were you so intense in the gym at such a young age?
Yeah. Kind of like the typical. I have the typical story that everyone had. Like even now, I'm 5'6",
Same.
maybe 5'7" if I really forget. But like it looks stupid when you walk around like that. But like I'm 5'6.5". When I was in like probably grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, I was maybe like 5'2". Like I was like I just hit puberty like in grade 11 and 12, to be honest with you. Like if you saw me in grade like 9, 10, I was the scrawniest, smallest kid of life. And it was kind of like in that like grade 9 to grade 10 transition where my friend brought me to the gym for the first time. And to be honest with you, I hated it. I like we went Good Life. I don't know if any of you guys are from Canada, but Good Life offered teens free for summer. And that was the thing, like that, like to introduce kids to the gym. So you could sign up for free. You could only use like specific machines, but like I didn't listen to that because I was going with my friend and like we would just do whatever. So I trained for the whole summer and I'm like, yo, this actually sucks. I literally hate it. And then I stopped for 8 months, didn't go to the gym once. And then towards the fall of that year, fall, winter, I kind of like started to like miss it. I'm like, hey, that was kind of fun. And that's when I was like 15. So I went back to the gym and yeah, I squatted 500 after 4 months of training. Like, yeah, the thing is, like, I didn't take it seriously. I just got really strong really fast. Like I bench pressed 225 within 2 months, like dumbbell pressed 80s. Like my friend was like, yo, this doesn't make any sense. Like, how could you possibly like be like, because I was squatting more than him being in the gym for 4 months, 5 months, and it was just like natural strength. And then everyone was like, you should compete. And I'm like, well, what's the like? Well, nah, I'm good. And then my dad found this high school powerlifting team that
Ooh.
was like 5 hours away from my house. And like high school powerlifting, like doesn't really exist where I live. So like we went to the principal. We had to get like a specific note saying like a specific teacher was signing off that he was like my guardian, so I could travel 4 hours away to go compete in high school powerlifting. And that, yeah, that's what, 7 years ago, and I still hold every record because nobody beat them. I still hold like I haven't competed in natural powerlifting in a long time, but I still hold like all the Canadian sub junior records.
And show someone out there who could possibly beat that at 16 because I don't think we're going to find one, Mark. So I think that record is going to be kept a very fucking long time, my guy.
I don't know. There's some freaks. Like do have to admit, like the next generation that I'm seeing come up, I'm like, oh shit. Like,
They are getting scary. They are getting scary. And I mean, Mark, I'm a 5'5", maybe 5'6" Slim King, so I can relate to that. I think it just makes us look bigger. But who knows
yeah,
what? Who knows? Who knows?
short and stocky. And then the minute I started lifting and like started to like put on size, like when I started lifting, everyone's like, "Oh, the gym's stupid because it's grade 10. Who's lifting? No
Oh,
one's lifting." Everyone's like, "Yo, what are you doing?" Like I almost got made fun of more for going to the gym. But like throughout half of grade 10 and then grade 12, and then I started competing, And then I started winning, and they would announce it over like the PA system, like congratulations to Mark Plummer for like breaking the high school national records. And then like towards the end of grade 12, everyone's like got into fitness because that's when everyone kind of starts lifting is like the end of grade 12, like grade 11, grade 12. They're like, oh, I want a six pack. I want to be big. And then all these people that made fun of me started asking me for advice. And like, it was like the whole, and like, I wasn't a dick. Like, I was like, oh, like, I'm not a fan of this whole like lean bulking thing. I think if you want to be like shredded, like aesthetic, like Z's or Jeff Side or like whatever. You don't need to do these like massive off seasons, but like to compete in like men's open bodybuilding or like put the size on that you want to put on. I tell people like a meal example for me would be 2 grilled cheese sandwiches or 3 grilled cheese sandwiches and 2 scoops of protein, or like a whole box of hamburger helper with 500 grams of extra lean ground beef. Just like anything I could get down, I would just eat until the point I couldn't eat anymore through grade 11, through grade 12. And then after grade 12, I'm like, I had all this size, and I'm like, okay, let's do bodybuilding. And then that's when I made the transition into bodybuilding and so on.
I mean, Mark, you when your name came over the speaker, I'm sure that must have been a panty dropper. I'm sure you must have mad girls from that, man. I mean, I've lived out those dreams in my head where they announced me over the loudspeaker, but man, it really happened to you. And I think you read my mind, Mark, because I did want to go into your the start of your bodybuilding career, because again, shortly after you started lifting and started getting that big weight, you did go into competing. And I watched your whole vlog going up into your first competition. And I think one thing that stood out to me was this guy was serious at a young age. I saw you were doing 80 carbs for 6 weeks before the show. And I'm doing my first show in July, and I'm struggling to get 200 in. I can do more, but I'm struggling to get that limit in. So what was it like what is it like going to the extremes in bodybuilding? I want to ask that. Is it worth it also?
Like it's only like, see, that's the thing. It's so subjective to people. Like for me, it was, if we take it like back in the day, no, it wasn't worth, like, what did I compete for? I had zero social media following. I got maybe 100 to 50 views a video. I worked a 9 to 5 job, and I spent every cent at that 9 to 5 job on steroids and food. So it was like, and at the end of the day, like I was 18 years old. So what was like, it, I wasn't going pro. I wasn't even close to big enough to go pro. It's like Rich Piana would always say, like, why the fuck are you compete? Oh, sorry. Can you swear on this? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck are you competing when you know you're like 30 pounds underweight from ever going pro?
Yeah.
So like it was kind of just like testing the waters of, like, I did regionals and then I won. And then I did Toronto and I came fifth. And like fifth qualified you to go to nationals. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, oh shit, I'm qualified, so I might as well go. But like looking back at that, I'm like, bro, I came fifth in provincials because
Yeah.
provincials was still a thing. Like, what did I think was gonna happen at nationals? Like I went to nationals, got my ass handed to me, and then that's when I went back into powerlifting because I'm like, well, shit, I'm super strong and no one can beat me, so I might as well just go put on some extra size and just like clean house in powerlifting.
Some viewer commented, D Trend loves you. I don't think this, guys, this is not D Trend, and I don't think he loves me. So I don't know what that comment was about. But Mark, I really am interested in, what is one tip that you would give someone going into their first show, looking back at everything you've done?
Get back, it's probably just like you're choosing to do this. So like don't put everybody else in your life through hell. That's probably the biggest. Like my first, second, and third show, like, man, one, I was living at home at the time. Like now I have my own house so I can be alone when I want to and all this. But I was living with my parents, and like I had maybe like 15 friends. And man, like someone would look at me the wrong way and I would lose my shit. My parents would like say good morning to me the wrong way and I would lose my shit. And then like finally it clicked, and it's like, fuck, if you want to eat junk food, go eat fucking junk food. If you want to not do this, like no one's putting a gun to your head and saying, you have to do this show. Like what? And then you're going to treat everyone else in your life like absolute shit because of it. And then be like, oh, it's because I'm dieting. It's because no, it's because you have a weak mental state, to be 100% honest. Because I just went through my last show, and like maybe the last like 2 weeks, I was like a little more irritated than I would have been, but still I know to just kind of keep to myself, and like people would still talk to me. I'd still like, you still have to put on, especially where I'm at now, I still have to portray a certain image. I can't walk around like pissing everyone off, because my businesses will fail, the word's going to get out. So like I need to like, it's, you see these people do press conferences and expos before the Arnold Classic and Olympia. All
Yeah.
these pros are taking pictures, 300 pictures for 7 fucking hours in the day, and they're there with the smile,
Yeah.
because they know that it's like, this is what I'm doing and I'm going to be happy doing it.
And I think, Mark, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think you are a very outgoing person from what I've seen. So I think you should be a little easier on yourself, because I mean, you got everything going for you right now, man. You're such a good dude, and again, I'm just so happy to be here talking to you. Now, Mark, I want to bring something you said once. Um, you once said that steroids make you more of what you already are, and I think we just kind of talked about how they will bring out some unfortunate, harsher reactions just because of the nature of steroids. Now, you
Yeah.
are a very open person. Obviously, you're wearing a not natty shirt, which I fucking love, man. Um, Again, I truly admire that, and I think it is vital to be open about your mental health. You had some tough mental battles over the year. I mean, we all have. And one of the main reasons is because you took steroids. I think hard times make us, and I don't want to speak for you, Mark, but I'm sure you grew mentally stronger out of this. So, what would you say to someone who is taking steroids or PEDs and is in that mental battle that you were in? What is something that you would recommend to them?
Not take steroids. Like that's the thing. It's kind of like, look at steroids in the terms of like, it's almost like a relationship. It's like you can't be in a relationship if you're not happy with yourself. So it's just like you can't really take steroids if you're not like truly happy. I mean, in that case, then you're probably just going to abuse them and hope you die anyways, and like neglect your blood work, neglect, like you just won't take the proper precautions to do it safely because you're in such a horrible mental state.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, and I know you took your first cycle at 18 years old. So, why did you decide to do that?
So I competed naturally in powerlifting, as you know, for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And in those 3 years, I got drug tested 8 times, which is still on their website that I've passed. It was 3 in-season tests. So after I won Worlds, I obviously got tested, but then the IPF started doing out of season testing. So they showed up at my front door at 6 a.m. twice to blood and piss test. So like there's not really getting around like a blood test. You can kind of like fuck around with pee tests, but blood tests, sorry, like you're not gonna be able to detox your blood enough. Even if you had a week, you couldn't detox your blood enough to not get tested. And I passed every single test. During that time, there was about 13 people that failed, and I probably knew another 6 that were taking stuff that just never got caught. And I'm at the point where it's like I was 17. I won worlds. I broke the squat all-time world record, the bench all-time world record, and the deadlift national record, which pissed me off. Some guy named Jake Navarro holds the deadlift record. He was a freak as well. He couldn't squat or bench, but like he was just one of those deadlift fucking freaks. I think he did like 730 at 17. Yeah, like, but like his squat was 500 pounds and his bench was like 300. Where my bench was 400, my squat was like 615, and my deadlift was only like 602, 615. So
Mm.
yeah, but like when I saw all these people failing, I'm just like, man, like eventually, like, I was going into a new category, and I'm like, man, like, why? I'm literally following the rules, not taking anything. I'm just like, why am I doing all this work when all these other people are cheating? No, but like taking steroids in a natural federation is cheating. I'm just like, there's no fucking any way around that. People that say, "Oh, steroids is cheating," no, it's only cheating if you're competing in natural federations. And I'm like, bro, I'm done competing against these people. I'm like, if you guys are gonna take, like, I want to go somewhere where like there's no rules.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do to win.
Yeah.
And at the same time, is like I was kind of like peaked out of like already had kind of respectable numbers,
Yeah.
and I always like had this something inside me that's like, you only have maybe like 10 years from like 22-ish to like 32-ish to
Yeah.
be in your prime for lifting. So these people that are like, oh, let's hit a natural peak before you start taking steroids, I'm like, unfortunately, you're never going to hit your natural peak. You won't, because your body, you will continuously get better until you hit the age where your testosterone starts to go down and your joints start to give out, and then you will start declining. And I knew at 18 that like I wanted to see how far I could take my body, and that I only have a 10-year window to do so. So I just moved everything to the untested federations.
I mean, I look at it all as a hunger to be the best. And I'm not endorsing steroids. I will say I see why you chose to do it. You wanted to be the best. And I think that hunger is also often undervalued. I mean, people think that if you're going to take this shit, that you're not working your ass off. No, you're working your ass off harder than most people. So I think that's such a wrong thought. And I think I've talked to a few athletes who are on stuff. And the thing is, they do it to be better because they admit, I'm naturally, like you said, I'm not going to be able to go much farther. I want to be the best. And I think to be the best, you ultimately have to take something in those specific classes. Obviously, if you want to take natural, there's natural classes. If you want to, push your limits, there's other classes. I truly respect you being open about that.
And one more thing before we move on is that with the whole social media thing, which is bigger now than it was when I was 18, untested athletes get paid. Natural athletes don't. And it's still the way. Like, if you look at any natural competition, there's no prize money for bodybuilding or for powerlifting. If you look at every untested meet that I've done, I've gotten paid. I've gotten sponsorships. Because it's not marketable to see somebody squat 600 pounds. Like you said, I did that at 16 years old. It's just whatever. But when you see someone squatting 1,000, it's like, that's going to get attention. That's going to sell. Like, more people will see it. People are like, oh, what's the best currency that you can have? Is it Bitcoin? Is it dollars? No, it's attention. Attention's the best currency, because if somebody squats 1,000 and that post gets 30 million views and he tags his sponsors, well, even if 1% of those people would go and buy something, that's still going to be like a ridiculously amount of sales to the sponsor.
And at the end of the day, we're not endorsing it. Do what you think is best for you. Get the treatment to get there. Have someone that knows what they're doing. A viewer said, "Aren't you worried about the side effects?" So, Mark, would you mind elaborating on
that? Yeah, I mean, I'm like a walking billboard for steroid side effects, because when I started at 18, there was no really like more plates, more dates 7 years ago. There was, as much as I hate him, there was no Greg Doucette. There was like a few magazines that nobody would talk about. Every sponsor would make people sign a non-disclosure saying that they're not taking anything. If you actually read in like the IFBB Pro, it's a natural federation. So everyone that signed an IFBB contract, that's why they always say, steroid. Ronnie is like, do you take steroids? He's like, steroids? Well, what steroids? Like, because they would legally have to say that. So when I was going, like, I had Ian Valier he was my next door neighbor. And I was like, yeah, I want to go on. And he coached me for my first 3 shows. So I kind of had like some guidance behind it. But at the same time, like it was putting myself in like, I didn't know about tapering up and down. I didn't know what Novadex and Clomid and HCG actually did. I was just told to take it,
Yeah.
and I took it. Did I take it right? No. But like now with like the amount of information on the internet, the amount of forums, the amount of people that are actually like coming out on their experiences, you can basically, if you're smart, like monitor the effects that happen. Like I know that I'll never break out in acne like I did before. I know that I after the gyno surgery, so you can't really get gyno again. But let's say I didn't get the surgery, I would know how to never get gyno. I would like, and as long as you keep up on your blood work, I would know that there's like no close side effects that are going to affect me right now. Now we don't know what's going to happen in 25 years from now, 50 years from now, but at the same time, personally, like not to sound like fucking crazy, I don't want to live past like 55, 60. I just feel like your quality of life like severely declines after 55. 1 in 4 people have a disability. Like I said, my parents are 60. They got cancer. My dad had a stroke. He's blind in one eye. I would just rather get the most out of 20 to 60 and then drift away in the simulation.
I think we each have our own take on life, and no one's wrong in their take. Uh,
No,
and someone loved the transparency. And Mark, I think that's something that hats off to you. Hats the fuck off to you, because it is so rare for someone to talk about all the struggles that come with something like this. About how you've talked about the mental health. We have the last segment is going to be on your acne company, which I really want to dive deep into. And it's so much. You're so open, and it's such a respectful thing, because you truly are. And I've watched some of your videos. You are doing this to help others, not necessarily make the same mistakes you've made or be there with them. And I saw you said, no, I wouldn't change anything, because now I'm here and now I can help people. And I think that just speaks on who you are, Mark. So again, hats off to you, because it is rare in this industry, unfortunately. Um,
very, yeah. The
and
channel was never to like blow up either.
you're
Like I never did, like I was more than content where I was working and everything that I was doing. I always knew that I was like gonna invest in a business, but at the same time, like yeah, I fucked my whole life up at 18. Like I didn't leave the house for a year because of that like super cystic. Like I would sleep on the sheets and wake up and it would literally look like I was shot like a million times. I was washing my sheets every single day because they were soaked in blood. I would maybe shower like once a week because the like water pressure would like rupture all the acne and like the whole bathtub would just be covered in blood. So like, and then I was like stuck cleaning that up. And then once I like learned more and like more about this, more about my body, more about hormones, then I'm just like, man, like if someone could prevent this before it happened in the first place, like that, like even if the channel helps one person not go through that, I'm just like, I just want to talk about this. And like I was working at Popeye Supplements and like they told me to take the video down because they didn't want to endorse their employees using steroids. And I'm like, no, I'm not taking the video down. And they're like, well, don't post again about this. I'm like, no. And then I posted again, and more or less they're like, take it down or you're fired. Now I'm just like, I'm not taking them down. So you can kind of guess what happened there.
And I mean, you may have some interesting takes, which he does, which Mark does. But all that matters is you're honest, and Mark is so honest. Again, not endorsing steroids, but if you were to go down that path or on that path, Mark's YouTube is amazing. To just be so open. It's an open environment. It's a positive environment. He talks about everything, and he's so personal. So, Mark, I want to end with something lighter, and that is Acne Attack skincare, because I fucking love it. A fragrance-free product that not only reduces acne, but also helps with scarring. Now, obviously, you've talked about how you've had acne your whole life. But what made you take that step into actually making a company for this?
Well, like you kind of just like I watch a lot of Christian Guzman, Max Tuning,
Love them.
like business people, and like they always say, like businesses mostly thrive off fixing a problem. And I'm just like, man, that's a big fucking problem. I mean, like I feel that when you have acne, you won't approach a girl. Like if you even have like one or two,
Yeah.
that's the only thing that you think about. Even though no one else fucking sees it, to be honest with you, that's the only thing. Like you look in the mirror and you're like, holy fuck, this tumor is staring me in the face right now. And then you go to your boy and you're like, yo, look at this. And he's like, bro, I didn't even notice until you pointed it out. But at the same time, like I was like, self-confidence, and especially now, is like like the way that the world is going, the way that social media is, like just like look at people, the whole like photoshopping thing right now
Yes,
is just like, and it comes down to self-esteem,
it does.
is because everyone just has this unrealistic expectation of like what they should look like. And I'm just like, a big part of that is having bad skin. And then I'm just like, how can I fix this? So like this was when I still had acne. I
Yes.
was thinking about this. It
Gotcha.
wasn't as bad, but I was still getting a ton of breakouts on my back, especially that like crevice in your back where you're like always sweating and then your shirt rubs on it. And I'm just like, man, like I didn't want to take my shirt off at festivals. I was embarrassed to go to the pool. I was like, and I ran Accutane for 3 months and I started getting like nosebleeds. My like mental health just like declined. I had to go to the hospital to get one of my nosebleeds like cauterized. I couldn't even smile because my lips would just like crack because my skin was so dry. And I'm like, man, there has to be a better way,
Yeah.
like than putting your body through that. So like I did hours of research on like specific ingredients that would not only like reduce acne, but like help the redness. Because that's like a lot of the times like you can still see, like I still get like some little bumps here and there, but they're just not like super red. So you can't like noticeably see it. And that's also the ingredient that helps the acne scars as well. And then I did more research and more research. And then I kind of just like put this together, which I'm working on right now is just like an ebook,
Yeah.
which anyone that buys the soap is going to get it for free. But it's basically like panthetic acid, which I talk about in all my posts as
Yes.
well,
Mhm.
reduces the oil buildup in pores.
Gotcha.
And then the Acne Tech skincare kind of like it dries out the pores so it doesn't like keep the oil there. But then it also has moisturizing ingredients to, it's like it had to be the perfect blend. And that's why it took so long to get out. We started working on it in like 2019 and then it launched in 2020. It was almost a year and a half to 2 years before, because you would make it and then get it shipped to me, and then I would try it for 3 months and then be like, okay, I don't like this, I don't like this, the fragrance has to go, and then let's add this in place of this. And then they would have to remake it and then ship it back to me and then try it for 3 months. And then once I finally kind of like figured out, like we added bamboo, which has like a natural scent. So like, because I didn't want people to like smell like shit, like from a non-scented soap. I'm like, that's gonna bring your mental health down even more. Like
Yeah.
someone's like, yo, you smell like shit today. So I'm like, what would be like a natural fragrance? And I'm like, bamboo. Still like fragrance free, but the like ingredient bamboo would just have that like small tint to it. And then we had to remove the lemon extract because a lot of people, almost every black charcoal soap on the market like has some type of lemon extract or lemon peel extract to exfoliate the skin. But using it on my face especially, it was so coarse. I was like basically using sandpaper on my skin, which was causing me to break out more. So I'm like, okay, we can't have any exfoliator, we can't have any of that because people with sensitive skin will just break out from that. So then finally we got it. Then I got a whole box ship, gave it to 6 of my friends. that also use anabolic steroids. They use it as well for 3 months, and like 5 of them were like amazing. One of them's like, yo, it didn't work, and I'm just like, how much are you like? There's a lot that goes into play. I'm not saying that this is just gonna fucking magically remove your acne if you take test pro and inject once a week. Your hormone levels are going like absolutely, you have, and that's what the ebook is for. It's to like teach people, it's like, this is how you keep your hormone levels in check. This is how you reduce the oil buildup. And then when you add in the Acne Tech skincare on top of that, that's what kind of like brings it all together. And I haven't really had acne. Obviously, I get the odd ones on my lats from like my arms rubbing against them, and I get some in between my thighs from my thighs rubbing together all day. But I haven't had severe acne in 2 years. And I was like the poster boy of acne. So,
And I mean, Mark, wow. I mean, I can relate. I've never had crazy acne outbreaks, but when I get one little pimple, I'm self-conscious. I do ask my friends. I try and pop it, and then it gets redder and it gets worse. And acne does hurt our mental health. It's having something to kind of help with not only looking better but feeling better on the inside is so key. So right after this, I'm going to be going to get a bar, and I highly suggest anyone who is just looking for clean skin in the first place to go get one. And Mark, it has just been an absolute pleasure. Part of the Underdog Talk is to be open, is to work on being honest. And not only were you honest, you were respectful, you told the truth. And I mean, everything for you is going up. Sometimes in your life it was going down, but now like I'm going to flip the switch and you're going up. Not only will this company just take off, but I'm so happy to hear about your mom beating cancer. I'm so happy to hear about your dad about to get his license. And it was just truly a pleasure to talk to you. Now, Mark, I know you're a busy fucking guy, being a CEO, a Gorilamind athlete, a fucking coach, bodybuilding coach, powerlifting coach. But are you game for some fucking rapid fire questions?
yeah, of course.
Fuck yeah. Lana Rhoades coming to your home gym or winning the show in October?
Winning the show in October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it could go two ways because like they're both going to bring traction to social media. Because at the end of the day, that's all I look for. People say that I have a very like crazy personality, but you have to remember, like I said, what brings the most like what's the best currency? It's attention. So if you are not like, I come at things from like my experience, and that, like you said before, it's like that's my experience. And if you can gain something or learn something from that, great. And if it doesn't apply, it doesn't apply. Like my channel is not a channel that's gonna, well, it might, but like it's not gonna blow up to 10 million like subscribers because it's like so subjective to like certain people. I don't try to make these crazy viral videos on like hating on other people. Like, sure, I could go like start doing natty or nots and start hating on other people's diets and start doing these things, which of course would get 200, 300, 400,000 views. Like I've have videos in the past that have 600, 700, a million, 2.2 million views. And I know that those are the videos that go viral.
Yes.
And I haven't been doing them because I'm just trying right now. I will go back into the social experiments because I think those are cool. But right now, I took like the momentum the channel had to try to help other people and just be more in a specific niche.
Okay, I truly respect that. And I mean, the clickbait for this video will be Mark Plummer says no to Lana Rhoades. Now, calling natty or not, I totally understand that. I do that sometimes too. I do a lot of lines. And it is all because I do believe being a fake natty is truly one of the most
things. I agree.
And obviously, I know you weren't meaning to call me out there, but you are right. I do that.
But the same thing is like, that's what gets views. And I don't hate on that because it's the attention. Like I said, like a lot of the stuff I post isn't my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Everything that Steve will do at posts, it's not his day-to-day. Like that's what people are like, yo, this guy lives like this. He must be fucking insane, bro. Like, this isn't our day-to-day life. A lot of our day-to-day life is doing this, is sitting behind the computer, is editing videos, answering emails, like messaging brands back saying like, these are the rates. And then 2 times a week, we put on the, like, obviously we're outgoing, and like what I like about myself is that if you meet me outside, it'll be like the same like energy, but it's just not as like crazy as what we make it seem.
I totally agree on that. And I mean, that is why I try and be real. And obviously, at the end of the day, content is king. You know, part of everything's going to be content. I wouldn't be lying. I would be lying if I said it wasn't. You know, we all do some part for content.
Exactly.
We do, and it's,
Yeah.
I don't deny it. I don't deny it. I'll be lying. I'd be the one lying. Now, Mark, I have a few more questions. Be
Yeah.
sponsored by an underwear company or be sponsored by a supplement company.
Oof. Probably an underwear company.
And you know why I'm asking that, right?
No, I don't even know why we're asking that.
You were sponsored by an underwear company.
Oh, I was, yeah. Yeah.
Performance panties. You still wear them?
Yeah, I still have like 5 pairs upstairs from when they would just send like a ton. I don't even, are they even still a thing? I don't even know if they're still in business. But yeah, they would just take like more pictures of you and like get you out into the world more than a supplement company would.
All right. All right. That's fair. No more gorilla mode for a year or no more gorilla mode nitric for a year?
Nitric, 100, like no.
That's the right answer.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not like mega dosing caffeine every day, I'm sorry, but you're just not doing enough in the day.
No one's picked a pump yet, and honestly, I don't think ever anyone will on this show. So, final question. Now, this is the big one, Mark. There is a right answer. Pull-ups or chin-ups?
Oof, definitely pull-ups.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's the right answer.
Yeah, everyone wants that Dorito back, getting it full. And like, I feel pull-ups like, you go to an average gym right now, ask someone to do pull-ups, maybe they got 2 or 3, but I try to do 10 sets of 10, like every back day. Like even my clients will see it, or like 10 sets to failure. And you can do them assisted, but finish your next back day with 10 sets of 10 pull-ups. And man, like, use straps so your forearms don't give out. And like it's something like, yeah, it's something.
Okay, I mean, Mark, you were being nice. You were saying 2 to 3. I can barely do one. So next one, I am going to try and do that, and I'm going to see how that goes. But Mark, it has been an honor and privilege, as I said before. Before we go, is there anything you want to plug, Mark?
No, I really not about the sales.
Well,
I mean,
Mark,
like,
let me plug your stuff for you. Acne, skin. That's the least I can do. I mean, it is, you support good products. You have a good company. Your content's king. I mean, I'm being genuine here. Acne Attack Skincare. Link will be in the bio for that. Check that out if you need a nice bar of soap, fragrance-free, to help with that acne. Code Mark at Gorilla Mode. Mark's the guy for coaching if you need it. Instagram, _, Mark Plummer. YouTube, Mark Plummer. And then TikTok, the Mark Plummer. Some great content there. I mean, again, Mark, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Like I said, this is the first one I've said yes to, just because I actually believe in like what you're doing right now, and I do think that this is going like a lot bigger than what you keep saying. Like, people are sleeping on this. Like, bro, like the amount of guests that you've gotten, just like with your personality and your message, is insane. So thank you for having me.
I always say I'm not the influencer. The Underdog Talk is the influencer. It's the one that's helping people. And that is the point of the Underdog Talk. But as you guys can see, we have some big guests coming up. Guys, it's been an honor and privilege. Underdog out.